Open general overview and trend. Opendoor Technologies has experienced extreme volatility over the past 3 months, characterized by a dramatic surge followed by a sharp correction. The stock began the period around 0.725 in mid-May and initially declined to a low of 0.5111 by early June. However, the trend reversed sharply in mid-July, triggering an explosive rally that peaked at 4.97 on July 21st. This represents an extraordinary gain of over 870% from the June low. Following this peak, the stock entered a correction phase, declining to the most recent close of 2.42 on August 13th. While the long-term trend remains positive given the substantial appreciation from the starting point, the short and medium-term trends are currently bearish as the stock consolidates after the parabolic rise. The most recent trading day showed some stabilization, closing near the session low after attempting to rally, suggesting continued uncertainty. Price and volume. The price action reveals a story of extreme volatility and shifting sentiment. After initially declining from May through June, the stock found support around 0.51 and began a remarkable ascent in early July. This upward movement accelerated dramatically in mid-July, with the stock gaining over 800% in just a few weeks. The volume patterns tell an equally compelling story, with trading activity remaining relatively modest until mid-July, when volumes began to increase exponentially. The climax occurred on July 21st with volume of 18952495558, which dwarfs all previous trading days and indicates intense speculative interest. The subsequent decline has been marked by declining volumes, suggesting the initial selling pressure may be easing. The relationship between price and volume shows a classic pattern of accumulation during the basing phase in early July, followed by a breakout with exponentially increasing volume, and finally a distribution phase as the stock corrected from its peak. The high-volume surge often marks a significant turning point, and the subsequent decline on decreasing volume suggests the speculative frenzy may be subsiding. Moving averages EMA and SMA. The moving averages paint a picture of a stock in transition from an explosive uptrend to a consolidation phase. The short-term moving averages show the recent correction, with the 5-day SMA at 2.2 and 5-day EMA at 2,299, both above the current price of 2.42, indicating bearish short-term momentum. The medium-term moving averages, 10 to 30-day, are also above the current price, with the 20-day SMA at 2,276 and 20-day EMA at 20494, reinforcing the bearish medium-term outlook. However, the longer-term moving averages, 50 to 200-day, are all below the current price, suggesting that the long-term trend remains positive. This relationship between price and moving averages of different periods is characteristic of a stock in a correction phase within a longer-term bull trend. The fact that the current price is below the shorter and medium-term averages but above the longer-term averages suggests that while the recent momentum is bearish, the overall structure of the market remains bullish. The exponential moving averages are generally below their simple moving average counterparts for shorter periods, reflecting the recent price decline. Technical indicators. The momentum indicators present a mixed but predominantly bearish picture. The MACD histogram is negative at -0.0354, suggesting bearish momentum, though the MACD line itself remains positive at 0.2662. The RSI at 59.41 is in neutral territory but leaning toward bearish, while the Williams R at -31.43 indicates neutral conditions. The rate of change over 14 days stands at 0.0, reflecting the recent consolidation. The trend indicators suggest a weakening uptrend, with the Arun down at 0 and Arun up at 32, creating an Arun oscillator of -71.43, which indicates a downward trend. The ADX at 44.62 indicates a relatively strong trend, while the ADXR at 47.68 suggests the trend may be weakening. Volatility indicators show the stock trading near the middle Bollinger Band at 2,276, with the ATR at 0.4035 indicating significant volatility. Volume indicators present a mixed picture, with the money flow index at 65.47 suggesting some buying pressure, and the Chaikin oscillator positive at 16257888971, indicating some accumulation. The CCI at 2980 suggests neutral conditions. Overall, The indicators suggest the stock is in a consolidation phase after a sharp rally, with short-term bearish momentum but long-term bullish structure intact. Linear regression. While not explicitly provided in the data, the linear regression analysis can be inferred from the price action and trend indicators. The short-term linear regression line would be sloping downward, reflecting the recent price decline from the July peak. The medium-term linear regression would likely be flattening or slightly downward sloping as the stock gives back some of its gains. However, the long-term linear regression would remain upward sloping, reflecting the overall appreciation from the starting point of around 0.725 to the current level of 242. The distance of the current price from these regression lines provides insight into the deviation from the mean trend. The recent sharp decline has likely taken the price significantly below the short and medium-term regression lines, suggesting an oversold condition in the short term, while it remains above the long-term regression line, indicating that the long-term uptrend remains intact. The current price appears to be finding support near the long-term regression line, which could provide a foundation for the next directional move. Next trading day opening prediction. Predicting the exact opening price for the next trading day involves some speculation, but based on the technical indicators and recent price action, we can make an educated estimate. The recent consolidation near the 242 level, combined with the oversold conditions indicated by several technical indicators, suggests the stock may open relatively flat to slightly higher. Given the recent stabilization and the fact that the stock closed near the session low after attempting to rally, a reasonable estimate for the opening price would be in the range of 240 to 245. If the overnight market sentiment is positive, we might see an opening toward the higher end of this range, while negative sentiment could push it toward the lower end. It's worth noting that the high volatility of this stock makes precise predictions challenging, and the actual opening could deviate significantly from this estimate depending on market conditions and any news that might emerge before the next trading session. Resistance and support analysis. The resistance and support levels for open can be identified based on the price data and technical indicators. Immediate resistance is likely at the recent short-term moving averages, particularly the 5-day SMA at 22 and 5-day EMA at 2,299. Beyond that, the next resistance level would be around 260-270, where the stock has previously found support and where psychological resistance often emerges. The middle Bollinger Band at 2,276 also represents a potential resistance level. On the support side, the lower Bollinger Band at 1,552 provides immediate support, though this is some distance below the current price. More immediate support is likely at the psychological level of 240, followed by 230 and 220. The long-term moving averages, particularly the SMA 200 at 135.23, would represent major support in case of a deeper correction. The current price is trading near immediate support but below immediate resistance, suggesting a critical juncture. Given the recent consolidation, we might see some intraday volatility with potential for a bounce toward resistance if support holds, or a breakdown toward lower support levels if selling pressure resumes. The ATR value of 0.4035 suggests significant intraday volatility is likely, with potential for wide price swings. Intraday high and low values based on ATR 14. The average true range, ATR, over the past 14 days is 0.4035, which provides an estimate of potential intraday volatility. Assuming an opening price around 242, based on the previous close, we can calculate potential high and low values for the next trading day. Adding the ATR to the opening price gives a potential high of approximately 282, while subtracting the ATR gives a potential low of approximately 202. These values represent rough estimates of the potential trading range for the day, assuming average volatility. However, given the recent extreme volatility and the stock's history of sharp movements, there's potential for increased volatility, which could result in a wider trading range. If the stock finds support and bounces, we might see it approach the higher end of this range, while continued selling pressure could push it toward the lower end. Traders should be aware that these are statistical estimates and actual intraday highs and lows can be influenced by various factors including market news, overall market sentiment, and order flow dynamics. Possible scenarios. Several scenarios could unfold in the coming days.